Hi, this is Jim Lyon, the host of the All That to Say podcast. Before you dive in today, be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can catch all of our fearless conversations.
When I was 18, my daddy died and Elijah was 12. And Elijah didn't, everyone was trying to preach at Elijah because he's in a family of ministers. And we're all trying to preach at Elijah. And I ministered to Elijah so wrong. I kept trying to tell him, God's going to use this for your testimony one day. And are you reading your Bible? And Elijah, you're raising your hands in church and you need to have faith. And Elijah was 12 and he was really hurt. And I realized that when I was calling Elijah, because I was 7 hours away in college, Elijah wouldn't want to talk to me about anything, much less God. All he wanted to talk about was superheroes. And I liked me superheroes, like in a normal person liking a normal Marvel movie kind of way. But Elijah was into comic books. You know, when you meet someone who's into comic books, Jim, it's like a whole other cinematic experience to watch a movie with them. It's like, what is this? That was Elijah. But I just had to realize that I had been so mad at him for not stepping into my world. If I wanted to have a relationship with him, I'd have to step into his. So I became obsessed with comic books. We would read comic books together. I would drive 7 hours into San Francisco, go to a thrift store, read these vintage comic books together. When Marvel started coming out with movies, I would drive in, wear a Marvel t-shirt with him. We'd get a big thing of popcorn and watch the premieres in San Francisco. We'd make a thing out of it. When I met my now husband, Guy, we were dating. He started being into superheroes with us. And all that's to say is that I had been so mad at Elijah. So many times we can be mad at the younger generation for not seeing the world the way we see the world, for not being raised the way that we were raised, to be mad at our daughters, to be mad at our nieces, our nephews, our sons, for not being as healed or as whole as we want them to be. And fighting to be right is the perfect plan of how not to save the world. It's a perfect plan of how not to show God's love to your loved ones. And it's a perfect plan of how not to reach this next generation, because they want to know if you are with them and for them. And they want something real. And that's really good news for Christ followers, because Jesus is real and we have the answer to their questions. But fake and facade is not going to work with them. They can see through the facade too well. They want to know if someone will come beside them. I kept sending my baby brother links to my sermon clips. Watch this. Did you watch this one? But Elijah didn't need a preacher. He needed a big sister. So instead, for years, I just kept this relationship with Elijah of going through comic books. And every now and then I'd ask him, how do you feel about God? And every now and then he'd say, I'm mad. And I would just come with him and say, I'm mad too. I'm so sorry. I'm mad too. Because I did it wrong. And all that to say is that if there's anyone watching that is trying to reach their loved ones for God, or a younger generation, or their kids or their nephews or their youth ministries for God, and you're weary and you're tired and exhausted because you don't know how to connect with them, I want to give you some hope. Galatians says that we will reap a harvest of blessing if we don't give up. And it was 11 years of me having a consistent relationship with Elijah and seeing the world the way he saw it before he came over to our house. Me and my husband, Guy, we opened the door, sat at a table, a lot like Mrs. Lee and my dad. And Elijah said, I'm ready for the joy you have. I'm ready for the peace you have. I know it's Jesus because you've told me your story 100 times. I get it. I know it's Jesus. Look, Jim, I am who I am. I talk about Jesus loud, consistently. Sometimes I rhyme. It's a whole thing. And I didn't have the right words because I didn't go to school for this. And I'm sure any Christian freshman at any Christian college could tear apart the exact right words I used or how long it took me to lead Elijah to Jesus. But in that moment, it did not matter. When Elijah made Jesus his number one, he said, I pick you, Jesus, forever. I turn away from my sin. I turn away from my regret. I'm going to follow you forever. And Elijah gave his life to Jesus that day. And then he and I continued to get to know Jesus better by going through the Gospels together. And now my baby brother's in love with Jesus. And I know so many times we can get mad at people for not being as whole or as healed as we want them to be. But God was not mad at us when we were far from him. Instead, he sent Jesus to come be Emmanuel, God with us where we really are. But why would this generation believe us that the God we're talking about wants to be with them if we don't even want to be with them? Many times our greatest witness will be our with-ness.